From the largest flying animal that ever lived to terrifying meat eaters with huge claws, here are some of the most mind-blowing facts about flying reptiles. Hi, it's me, and this is my channel. Fact 1. The heaviest flying animal that ever lived wasn't a bird or an insect, but a type of flying reptile called a pterosaur. Pterosaurs were a diverse group of flying reptiles that lived during the Mesozoic era, which is the same time period that dinosaurs roamed the Earth. They were the first vertebrates to evolve powered flight, and they achieved this without feathers. Instead, they had wings made of skin stretched between their body and their very long fourth finger. But don't be fooled into thinking these guys were small. One of the largest species, Quetzalcoatlus, had a wingspan of up to 36 meters, which is around the size of a basketball court. This giant weighed over 200 kilograms, making it heavier than any bird or insect alive today. In fact, if Quetzalcoatlus were alive today, it would easily be the largest animal capable of flight, beating out California condors by a long shot. And while we're at it, there was another large flying reptile from the Triassic period named Darwin's dragon. It also had a wingspan of around 36 meters. So apparently huge flying reptiles were a thing back then. Fact 3. Not all pterosaurs were giants. Some were actually quite small, like the aptly named Little Ripper. It had a wingspan of only 9 meters, and it weighed less than 1 kilogram. This little guy looked a bit like a miniature albatross. There were even smaller flying reptiles though, like the infamous Microraptor, which looked more like a feathered dinosaur than a flying reptile. It had wings on its arms and legs, and could even glide between trees by jumping off of branches. While it's classified as a pterosaur, some paleontologists argue that it was more closely related to theropod dinosaurs like Velociraptor than other flying reptiles. Fact 4. Flying reptiles were so diverse that they fill multiple orders in the class Reptilia. 2 of the 3 main groups of reptiles are birds and bats. And despite what their name suggests, bats are not closely related to either of these. They're actually more closely related to lizards and snakes. Their wings are more like modified hands than bird wings, which are modified arms, and they have no connection to dinosaurs or flying dinosaurs. Fact 5. Some flying reptiles were ambush predators. One example is the aptly named devil's dragon. It had a massive head with long, sharp teeth and claws on its wings for grabbing prey. These vicious-looking creatures had a wingspan of about 12 meters, and they probably used their claws to capture fish. Another fearsome predator was the Haast's eagle. This gigantic bird of prey went extinct around 1400 years ago, after the last ice age ended and humans arrived in New Zealand. It had a wingspan of up to 3 meters, and it was one of the top predators in its ecosystem. But because it took so long to find, scientists knew very little about it until 1986, when a skeleton was found preserved in a New Zealand cave. Fact 7. Despite being cold-blooded, flying, reptiles like birds can sustain injuries that cause them to fall from great heights without suffering too much trauma. For example, a peregrine falcon can hit the ground from over 300 meters up and walk away with just a few bumps and bruises. This is thanks to their streamlined bodies and the way that their wings are attached to their bodies. And now for fact number 8. Even though it's not technically a flying reptile, let's take a moment to appreciate the awfulness that is the terror bird. This giant flightless bird lived in South America until around 20,000 years ago. Its scientific name is actually Titanis willardi, but everyone just calls it the terror bird. It stood almost 3 meters tall and had a wingspan of around 7 meters. But even with these huge wings, it could never fly. Instead, it spent its time on the ground hunting for food. It had a huge beak that could easily crush the bones of its prey, which included early humans. There's evidence that terror birds attacked and ate people, and this likely played a role in their eventual extinction. Now it's time to take a look at some amazing fossils in our own backyard. It's me, and this has been my channel. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to learn more about prehistoric animals, check out my podcast. Thanks for watching. See you next time.